This is a very special edition of The Rock Show. The setting is different. I look a little bit different, and
I always look different.
She always looks different.
With different hair.
Welcome Mohini Dey. It is an absolute honor to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
We had to do all of this because you just deserved it.
That's sweet. Thank you.
Only on Radio Nagarik 96.5, and today is going to be a very special show. We're going to talk about how you were here in Kathmandu, Nepal, first time?
Yeah, it's my first time in Nepal, Kathmandu.
Sure.
I was touring with a band in Australia, and Nishant, the drummer, happens to be a very good friend of mine, and we were just talking, and he was like, hey, I'm touring in Australia as well. I'm like, me too. I'm free today. Are you guys playing tonight? And he's like, yeah, we're playing. Why don't you come hang and just see us play? I'm like, yeah, that would be
What city
lovely.
was this in?
Australia, I think this was in Melbourne.
Okay.
I think this was in Melbourne. I was not gigging that night. I was like, yeah, maybe just go and hang out with them and see. I had never experienced a metal show before, a full heavy metal gig. So it would have been lovely if I would go and just saw them. So I went there, and he introduced me to the other band members. I had met them when I was touring with Guthrie Govan almost a year ago, but we didn't get so close. But in this tour in Melbourne, when I went to see them play live, we became really close, and we started sharing stories and everything, and then they got on the stage. I was like, that night I think 5 metal bands were playing, and I was just kind of watching them. I was like, wow, this is just insane, like crazy energy, and like 3 hours they were just there,
on
like
top.
The energy is on top, which is quite insane. So, but they didn't have a bass player at that time. So I was like, why don't they have a bass player? It sounds great, but then imagine if there is a bass. So I have this habit, every time I listen to music, my mind just starts ideating. My mind just starts to ideate things in my own way, interpret things in my own way. So when I was listening to their music, I was already playing in my head. I'm like, wow, if I would do this, it would sound even better and all that stuff. After they got done with their show, they came backstage, and then I told them how amazing their music is, and why don't they have a bass player? I asked them. It's like, actually our singer used to play bass, but now he doesn't. I'm like, why? And he's like, he just enjoys singing now. So I'm like, we just looked at each other. I didn't ask her anything. We just looked at each other. Then he's like, it would be lovely to have you. That would be just amazing. I'm like, yeah, I would love to. And they were just freaking out and very, very shocked. It's like, this is huge, this will be lovely. Then we exchanged our numbers and email IDs, and we took it from there. That's how it happened.
And everything started. I remember when Abhishek Case actually said this to me.
Yes.
And my first reaction was, no way. Because, of course, you come from a lot of infamy as it is. Working with A.R. Rahman, working with Guthrie Govan, as you said, but taking it all straight right back. You are brought up in a musical family.
Yes.
Your father, Sujay Dey, is one of the most. I had a chance to look at some of the videos, and the element of classic ragas on the bass, everything.
He's very old school. He loves funk, black funk, and he loves pop, R&B stuff. He loves odd-time signatures. And as a kid growing up, music was always floating in the house. Having mom as a singer, and she was also a dancer. She's trained in Bharatanatyam and Kathak. She's a 4 years diploma artist.
Wow.
So even I used to take dance lessons from her. She used to own a school in Calcutta, and I remember wearing like white churidar and like orange dupatta, and standing beside her and taking lessons. I've done all of that, and then holding my dad's hand, going to studios, recording studios, and going to all the venues that he would perform at, and just admiring and seeing things very closely, how it all works and how beautiful the musical environment is. I just got fascinated. I just got interested by just being in that whole process and being in that whole zone. Dad noticed the interest towards music from me at the age of 3, and he suddenly thought that there was no female bass player at that time. So he's like, why don't I start teaching her, and then it's her choice whether she wants to pursue it as a dream or not, as a profession or not.
Did you pick the bass yourself, or?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
He just saw, he was practicing through his processor. We didn't have an amp that time. We were not financially that very strong. So he was wearing his headphones, and he always used to practice at home.
Gotcha.
One day he just put the headphones on my ears when I was 3 at that time, and when he was playing, I just started giving the right tempo, and he noticed my interest, and he was like, wow, that's amazing, that's beautiful, she's enjoying it. Suddenly he thought that, oh, there's no female bass player, why don't I start teaching her? And then it's her choice whether she wants to take it as a profession or not. No harm in learning music, no harm in learning anything. It's only going to get you more happiness, only going to give you more peace. So he started teaching me. I think I seriously started taking lessons when I was 7-ish. Till then, my first lesson I remember was just me. That was my first lesson. And then my first scale that I ever learned was C major.
C major, yeah.
It's like beginner stuff, everybody does that. And then then internet came into the world, and till 7 I didn't have access to internet, but then I think around 8, 9 I got introduced to the computers and internet and all these things. That's when I was like, whoa, this is like a complete different world out there. And like now internet is the biggest education of all. I learned so much from like YouTube videos and just looking at so many amazing artists. Till then, when computers were not there, my dad just played DVDs and put CDs on the TV, and I would see Jacob Pastorius, Abraham Laboriel, John Patitucci, and all these guys. And growing up listening to all these guys, it has always been like a dream to play with those guys. But I mean, in my head I was like, till I grow up, I don't know if they're gonna be there, because they're old, but it was such a beautiful opportunity and such an honor it was to be sharing stages with these artists that I have grown up listening to, like Victor Wooten. I've shared stage with Victor Wooten, Stanley Clarke, John Patitucci, Abraham Laboriel, all of these guys, So every time I would step onto those boxes and step onto those stages, it would be a very emotional moment for me. But it's always like I'm not very starstruck. Never starstruck.
When you get in the zone, when you get on stage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or even when I meet like people or idols, I'm never really starstruck. I get really happy and I smile all the way, but I don't get like starstruck. Just like how I'm talking to you, I would talk to everybody.
Sure.
It's not like I'm diplomatic when I'm talking to everybody else, or okay, she's young, so I would talk differently. No, it's not like that. I would talk the same way, be it anybody.
Well, part of that also comes from the fact that at a very early age you were introduced to a lot of greats. One of the being Mr. Louiz Banks.
Growing up, I hung out with a lot of 55-year-olds, 45-year-olds. So, my way of thinking.
Well, Ranjit Barot, one of the guys that you met, Ranjit Barot, I had the privilege of seeing him last year with John McLaughlin and the Fourth Dimension.
Yes.
And he's amazing.
Yeah, he's incredible.
He's amazing.
He's the MD for Rahman's band, So he directs the whole band. He runs the whole band through all the new arrangements and all the songs. So when AR is not around, he's the guy. He takes place of AR and he deals with the whole band.
Wow, that is amazing. And of course, Louiz Banks, who has very, very close Nepali roots with his grandfather actually writing the national anthem of the country. He has a fascinating story.
Oh yeah, I'm very lucky and blessed to have played with all these amazing people.
And out of all of them, perhaps in 2011 when you got on stage with Zakir Hussain for the first time, how was that?
Yeah, I was 13 when I played with Zakir Ji for the first time. I had no idea that I was going to play with Zakir Ji.
Did you just get a call? They said just bring your bass?
No, I didn't get a call. I didn't have any phone that time. No, my dad my dad and Ranjit uncle, they were really good friends. And I think this was the day before Holi.
Okay.
The performance was at Prithvi Theatre. And I was just practicing at home, and suddenly my dad gets a call from Ranjit uncle saying that, hey, come on up in Prithvi Theatre. There's this jam session going on, and it's a beautiful event. We do this every year. I think this was Barsi. This was that happens every year. So I didn't know much about it because I was not out there in the industry that much at that time, because I was only 13 and I was playing, but I was playing with Ranjit uncle and a lot in clubs, not like in the fusion circuit, not like in the Carnatic circuit or like the.
How many people were there in the Prithvi Theatre?
I don't know, man. It was so big. The audience was so big. Like it had actresses, actors. It had a lot of musicians. The whole Bollywood industry was there.
It was Zakir Hussain's concert.
Yeah, it was Zakir Ji's concert, and he does this every year. I think it was Barsi, if I'm not wrong. So Ranjit uncle just gave my dad a call, and he's like, bring Mohini, get her bass also. We'll just do something. And I didn't know. He didn't tell me. He just held my hand. He packed my bass, and he's like, okay, we're going to an event. We'll just watch the show. I thought we were just watching the show. We went there, and then I see Zakir Ji sound checking, okay? I'm like, oh wow, this is amazing, this is Zakir Hussain, this is so nice. I'm gonna see him play for the first time. And then Zakir Ji gets up and he comes up to me and he's like, so proud to have you, I'm so looking forward to playing with you. I'm like, No, I'm like, I don't know. In my head, I'm like, really? Okay. But I was very shy that time. So I wouldn't even utter a word. So I would be like, oh, yeah, me too. I don't know in my head. I'm like, really? But I'm like, oh, me too.
It's not true.
And I'm like looking at Dad. Dad is like whispering in my ears. He's like, yeah, you're going to play today. I'm like, oh, shit. Shit, it goes. And then I'm like, all this nervous energy is coming out. Because that was my first ever on-the-spot spontaneous jam session with anybody. And that too with
Zakir Hussain. Oh, my God.
So it was like, holy shit. And then, then he said, do whatever you want. Take your open solo. Take your time. Do everything. And then we'll just join you. Start playing a groove and we'll just join you. And it was amazing. It was amazing. But as a 13-year-old, that was your first jam session, right? So after your performance got over, you're like, you could have done so much better. So in my head, I'm like, I just hoped it went really well. And it went really well, okay? But like in my head, I knew that I could have been so much better. So I had tears in my eyes. And Zakirji saw it and he's like, and I'm eating my food, okay? I'm like sitting on the chair and I'm like eating my food and Zakirji comes and he's like right there. And he's like holding my hand. He's like, baby, don't you worry, you were amazing, you have all my blessings and you have all, he's just like trying to make me feel better and just telling me that how beautiful I am and how beautiful I play and all that. It just helped so much, and from that I'm like, I gotta work my ass off now, because once you get on that kind of a stage, now people will call you. Now many doors have opened. Now a lot of important doors have opened. So now you're gonna get called more and more. So you have to work
step up your game. Going live and jamming and playing with musicians and having your own concerts as well. Compare that to doing something like MTV Unplugged. And the Coke Studios. How was that experience?
It's nice. It's like TV shows and shootings and stuff. I always enjoyed that. The first time I think I did some kind of a shoot was, I think it was for ZTV Saregamapa, and I was just like a guest artist for Finale, and I was in the house band. And then the second one was The Big Shot. The actual debut was, I think, MTV Unplugged season 1. That was run by Ranjit Uncle. He was the MD for the whole thing, for all the episodes actually. He was the arranger, composer / producer, everything. So I was a part of the house band then. I was like, what, I don't know, 12, 13 probably. And now I look at the video, I'm like this tiny, and like short hair. Yeah, it was a beautiful experience. And now today when the same people see me and I see them, we still remember those times. And it's like, time flies so quick. Like we always feel like, that was just yesterday,
It's been 7 years.
Yeah, it's been 7 years I've been working with Mr. Rahman.
Wow.
Yeah, and
how did you get started?
With AR?
Yeah, with AR Rahman.
How was that? Oh yeah, so I used to get called by Nirvana Studio a lot. Nirvana Studio is Ranjit Uncle's studio, and I would just go there and do like background music for movies and like jingles and stuff like that. So one day I just went there and there was another music director who was handling AR's project, and I just went there and I played on the song. I didn't know it was AR's song actually, because I never ask what movie is it for, or like what song and what's the song's
straight into
name.
The music. That's
like,
it.
How many songs names are you going to remember? I don't need to know anyway. So I finished the song and then I get to know that it was AR's song. So at that time I didn't know how big AR was, because I never used to listen to that kind of music. I knew like Hamdam and Roja, few hit songs like Hamma, but I didn't know how big AR was. So then when I finished recording, I came back home and I told my mom and dad. They were really, really proud and really excited. I'm like, I should look him up, and I looked him up on Google, and I'm like, okay, he's really big. But it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure working on the song. It was for a movie called Lekar Hum Dewana Dil, and the song's name was Too Shining. And then the same night, I got a call from AR's team saying that he loved your work and would you be interested in being a part of AR's Coke Studio episode. Until then, I had already worked on a lot of other seasons of MTV Unplugged and Coke Studio episodes. So this was like in between somewhere.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I met him the first time in Whistling Woods when he walked into the room. I was just jamming with Sivamani and Prasanna, and he walked in and he just smiled at me and he told me that, I was gonna get Tal Wilkenfield for Coke Studio, but when I heard you play bass, I only wanted you. So that was a very big compliment for me, because I knew who Tal was and I love her myself,
Same,
So coming from AR, it was a big compliment. It was a very nice moment for me, and then the journey started from that day with AR till now.
7 years.
Yeah,
7 years now. During this time also you've had a lot of Western collaborations.
Oh yeah.
Working with Guthrie Govan, Marco Miniman, Steve Vai,
Weckl, Tony McAlpine, Gorgo Borlai, Dean Brown.
How did that door first open? How did that door to the West first open for you?
I don't know, man. I think
these things just happen.
Right?
These things just happen.
Yeah, it just happened. It was never my wish or never my demand or a dream or anything like that. I was just working my ass off, and I have this habit of just locking myself in my studio and just working, doing videos, putting out on YouTube, doing this little.
Hear that, kids? That's priceless advice right there.
I love doing that. I am very much into like cameras, and I love like shooting. I love getting dressed. I stitch my clothes.
Are you a painter as well?
Yes, I love painting, and I love stitching clothes, and I love designing my own clothes. So I love all that kind of stuff. So when people ask me, don't you have friends? I'm like, no, I don't have friends because I like doing this, because the only time I get is off from the music, right? Yeah. So when I'm not doing music, I either stitch or like paint or like, break things and fix them or something like that. I love that.
All of this does a full circle. We're back here in Kathmandu, Nepal.
Yeah.
You've had a very storied career so far. Now here, how was the show for you on Purple Haze?
Oh, it was really nice.
How's been the? Did somebody explain the song that they played for you in the beginning of the show?
No.
They did not explain.
No.
It's a very, very famous song here.
Oh, okay.
And it has the word Mohini in it,
really?
Of course.
I didn't even hear that because I don't understand.
Oh yeah, the whole crowd was singing along. Yeah.
I see.
And
you mean the intro track? Right. Backstage I was sitting and I kept hearing he, but it's honey, honey, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, is that my name they're calling? I felt like, okay, maybe I have to go on stage now. I was like, no.
It was like that scene from Ek Do Teen Starts. Everybody was going Mohini. It was exactly like that. So how's the experience so far been?
Oh,
practicing,
really? It has been
together?
So amazing. I've been repeating this so many times that this is the first time that I'm playing with a metal band. Unfortunately, it's with Underside. Amazing material, very progressive rock. It's not just like heavy metal, but like it's really good stuff. It's not just heavy metal music and growls and all that kind of stuff.
There's a lot of grooving.
I was not into heavy metal at all. I never listened to heavy metal music. If you ask me anything about the heavy metal scene, I wouldn't know shit.
This is like the A.R. Rahman story all over again.
Yeah. Like I only know a lot about jazz circuit, funk circuit, and all the stuff that I do and I love playing. So, but now I'm getting into this heavy metal scene, which is new for me, and I always wanted to do that because I always wanted to be like a versatile musician. So it's nice that I get to try every kind and taste every kind of music. Being in the Carnatic space, being in the jazz space, being in the funk space, being in the pop space and ARs, and like doing all these jingles, backgrounds, and then now heavy metal music. It's really amazing,
all around music.
It feels like I'm in different worlds all the time, getting to meet new people, tasting different food, and it's like tasting food for me. The only two things that I love about my life is my food and like my music. Yeah.
You've had a lot of good food here, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I have.
A lot of momos.
Yeah, a lot of momos.
All right, lastly, you guys are off to the Bloodstock Festival.
Oh yes.
Dates in the UK. Headlined by Judas Priest, of course.
Yeah, I'm like.
Have you discovered Judas Priest yet?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But I think I've heard about him a lot, but I don't know actually like.
You're about to find out.
Yeah.
Excited?
Oh, very excited.
Yeah.
I've been to London so many times. I've played there many times. But this is a different setup altogether because it's heavy metal and it's a different crowd altogether. Like yesterday when we...
How was that?
Show,
yeah. So you saw a mosh pit for the first time.
Like what audience is that? Like I have never experienced that kind of audience, you know? Like you're on stage and then suddenly everybody's dancing, everybody's pumped up and nodding their heads and banging their heads and like everybody's high on music.
That's
and
heavy metal,
yeah, it's just insane amount of energy and enthusiasm. Yeah. It's crazy.
Lastly, it's an honor to have you here, of course, in Kathmandu, and hopefully we see you. You have a workshop to go to right now at the moment. Yes. But if you have any last messages for all your fans.
I think I'll be back again with my own band next time.
Ooh, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Is there a date on that one?
No, confidential.
Oh, okay, all right, we'll keep that confidential. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been an absolute pleasure.
Same here. Thank you for having me.
The Rock Show, ASM, Mohini Dey. See you next time.